Let's get right into it. Drew Van
Sure.
Steenbergen, you have a film called Buckets that's
That's
going to
right.
be at the 25th anniversary of the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yes.
First off, this is a venerated festival. They're celebrating 25 years. Their mission to revitalize the film industry in post 9/11 New York. It's such everything about it is wonderful and laudatory. And now
hmm
you have a film there. How does that feel?
Crazy. It is kind of nuts, especially given like obviously the gravitas of like the anniversary of it being like the 25th year and like what that means to the festival itself, but also probably the city and like the art scene there. And I grew up in Connecticut, so I always kind of was close to New York, and then post college was in New York for a little bit before now moving to LA. So it's kind of like definitely not a homecoming thing in any way because I never thought one that I would get in and two that it would like be in a festival kind of in New York on such a scale. But it feels incredible. It's like so validating because it's like this project in particular is such a small project in the sense that like it's based off of my own experiences. I put myself in it, and most of my history has been a lot of editing. So I did a lot of like the roles themselves, like writing, directing, starring, and like produced it with some friends and filmed it in my own house here. So like so much of it is so personal and feels small to me. So to be a part of something so big and to be a part of such like a legacy like this is just too huge. And I think I'm still processing it, and I probably won't really set in until Friday when it's done the first time. Or ever. I don't know. Maybe not until I come back to LA. I have no idea.
Right. And that is something I wanted to key in on is that it is
Hmm.
very personal, you know, like your character's name is Drew. You are
Yeah.
from Connecticut. You do have tattoos on your hands. What was the idea to be so vulnerable with this
Sure. I mean, honestly, I think there were like it was born out of a few different things. One was like I haven't directed something of my own in a bit. Like I moved out to LA, having directed some shorts and got work in TV and a bunch of commercials. And then there was like a lot of back-to-back experiences that felt discouraging in some ways, or like I didn't like believe it made me like not believe in myself because of the projects I was a part of and like how they were built within like a network system. And so I went back to like editing a bunch of stuff for a bunch of different people, and like I love editing for other people because I can learn from them. But in doing so, I had the itch that I was like, I want to do something of my own again. And like having done previous shorts, having done Kickstarters and things like that, I knew that to dip my toe, I guess, or to get back into it, I wanted to do something small on scale that like I could just pay for myself and that I don't need so much, bells and whistles, I guess is like, kind of like a cliche term, but like wanted to keep it like smaller within scope, but also within a realm that I know we can do, but kind of hard enough where I didn't know we can do to still be challenging.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was one, putting myself in it because I haven't acted in anything probably since high school. And when I was thinking of a bunch of ideas, one of my producing partners, Rachel Goldfinger, we met years ago when we were working at Duplass Brothers, and I was always talking about wanting to do a project of my own. And like I would try to picture other ideas, but by the end of the meeting, what we did every time was talk about dating apps and like for years and like didn't even know that like that was the thing we kept coming back to. And then the repetition of doing that and the repetition of how I was behaving on dating apps, it really eventually started settling in. And I was like, I thought the behavior of it was interesting, like, almost like a self-analysis of it. I thought there was a lot of humor and jokes that I can do it. And I knew I could like speak to like my strengths of like edit style more, that I can create a rhythm and use the tools of like movies or cinema to use like music, sound effects, and cutting to create the internal anxiety to make it externalized. And so I thought it was just like such an interesting concept, but it took a while to convince myself to do it. And then after we even shot it, it took like 3 months for me to watch it. Like I was I created like an animatic, like basically like a Pixar movie or something like that, where it was like all the shots were planned out. We did it like within the app with like the DP to take photos. I first drew them, did the photos, and then created them in like I edited the whole thing first with VO. And so it's just the photos, and every time we shot someone, we would replace it. And so like we had like the structure there to like not waste time to save money, but then even still having that like Mad Lib structure, I just couldn't do it. It took me like 2 months before I watched footage back and I didn't think it was me. Like there needed to be some kind of distance, and so like it was hard. But yeah, I think it was just like an impetus of wanting to do something small but feel bigger in scope. And I think I had just started kind of I had watched Albert Brooks movies in the past, but I had recently around that time watched Modern Romance. And there was something about watching Modern Romance outside of him playing a film editor in the movie.
Right.
I was like, that's my job. But then I was like, there are so many moments. I mean, granted, his is more like speaking to his strengths, which is just like him alone having long scenes and like longer takes of him just saying the craziest stuff that we all think in, internal, externalized. But then I was thinking of like what's like my version of that could be because it felt small, where it's like in his home, he's taking Quaaludes to get over a breakup, and then simultaneously calls her, calls another girl to go on a date, chews out another guy, falls asleep in his car, and then it's like the next day. And so I was like, the things that we do mentally to go through it all. So like it was like a coalescing of a lot of different things. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a long answer for you, but yeah.
Well, you can definitely tell watching this film that it was shot and directed by an editor because
For better or for worse.
yeah, no, it's fantastic because it does ratchet up that tension. Like those montages of just staring into the phone, saying "fuck," like we've all
Yeah.
been there, and you capture that in a great way that I think a lot of
Oh,
people
thank you.
identify with. I like what you said about having to take time away
Yeah.
from the film, the physical film, so that you didn't see Drew as yourself, you saw him as a character.
Yeah.
I think that's something a lot of filmmakers are going to key in on as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so, which is such like I mean, one of the lessons of, or one of the ideas that like of putting myself in it too is that like if I want to get back into directing too, and I haven't like on set directed actors before, like I was like, okay, well if I do it to myself, I'll know what to like ask of people, or to like, because you want to like that's the nuance I feel like of every time I've done in the past or having editing things for presently is that like there is like a good and there's like not a right and wrong way, but there is of like getting someone to a performance, like asking them how to do something. So it's like getting them in the headspace. And so I was like, I wanted to do it to myself, but in watching it, I was like, oh shit, this is what they think. Like, where it's like, because like I've been like I just finished like a feature, or my first feature editing like earlier this year, and even watching it premiere at South by, like one of the actors was like, "Oh, that take," and I was like, "It's so funny because like we all think that's a great take," but then like I remembered on the short for this, I'm like, "That's that's what my face looks like." There's like there's an inundation of it that like usually in my day to day I don't see that much of myself. So to see it repeatedly and then kind of like vulnerable in a sense because it is like it's stuff I've done before. It's definitely exposing a lot of myself to others, and I think like as you keep working on it, more of the weight of that is like layered on top. Um, and I guess I mean I don't know. The hope I guess is like the exposure therapy of it would like make me not do those habits anymore. But like yeah, still watching it was rough. But then like the distance too is good because like I got so married to like that Mad Lib edit of it where like the animatic. And then taking distance and going back, I was like, oh, some of these should be reordered, like moving them around or cutting them out wholesale or like rewriting VO and stuff like that. So it felt the space gave me time to like think about it a little more holistically rather than being like these are just like 212 shots of just me. Like,
Right.
um,
Did you ever consider leaving some of the animatic in and creating more of a multimedia experience? Or were you just like, nah, it's a film. I want it to be a film.
not necessarily because like well, one, some of them are stick figures. So like, some
So
of them
not
like
Pixar style.
yeah, yeah. There were certain shots that I was like, I would, I like definitely one night drew an entire shot, and then it's like lasts for 2 seconds, and the rest are like the walking ones are just like me as a stick figure. So like not that, but I also what I really liked about like again doing it in my home is that like and just like the ethos of the whole project is like using the tools to make it feel like a movie and cinematic, and that the reality of it is so mundane that like I like the mundanity of like me just like on different parts of the couch, just like do, 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 do. Or it's like because I mean that's the thing is so much of like the feelings are so inside you and they feel so big
Yeah.
when like those anxiety spirals happen. At least I know for myself and like the overthinking and things, it feels so like such a storm within yourself. But then I love like with the reality shots, like the wides or the exposure things where it's like it's just you sitting on your couch making coffee. Like no one knows, or like if you're outside, like you're in the grocery store, like no one knows you're having an anxiety, like you're spiraling because like you're buying like milk and eggs. And so like I really liked that like it was I wasn't 100% sure it would always work because a lot of it is just me in my underwear sitting around my house. So I was like, how much of this is like even in 10 minutes, like how much of this is too much?
Mhm.
But it kind of like felt like making it like a song in some ways. Like you kind of like feel like a rhythm, and then is it enough? Like is there enough inside? Is there enough outside so it doesn't feel too claustrophobic? There's a lot of like shaping and sculpting, and I really liked that type of process of it because then like doing any type of thing, a short movie, whatever, it starts talking, talking back to you. Like it starts telling you what it needs and what it wants to be, and then showing it to friends too, and like like my producing partner, and like really relying on them to be like, this works, this doesn't, and stuff. But like, yeah, it's gonna be something to see. I've never seen it big yet. I haven't seen it big, and I haven't seen it with the crowd. So we're gonna see what happens.
Well, and that brings me to my last question: Is the
Yeah.
film is going to premiere in the shorts program on Friday
Yeah.
at Tribeca in New York City? Are you going
Mhm.
to watch it?
Yes, I'm definitely gonna watch it because like I think I just one don't know if I'll have that experience again. So it's like I don't know if like obviously the hope is like to continue making projects and like maybe and hopefully having them in theaters and with audiences, but like that that's not like a guarantee. But it's also like because this is the first time, it's my first project back in a while directing my like for like a personal project, but also that I'm in like it feels like so. Yeah, I don't want to give into the fear of not watching it, basically, because it feels like so special, like that this exact like line of events in this project will never happen again. And so whether or not it goes well, I still just want to like be a part of that experience because it still like informs something. Like it still is like what works, what doesn't work, because it hasn't seen played in a crowd setting. And I'm very curious, like especially like in a shorts programming setting too, because it's like I know I haven't seen the other shorts, but I have like I know what they're about, and I've met the filmmakers at the mixer and stuff. So it's interesting even hearing about them. I'm like, how do we play back to back? Like, how does that feel too? And so it's interesting to see how to call like mixes together. I don't know. Are you gonna be there? Are you gonna see the?
Well, unfortunately, I can't be there on Friday, so I will not be able
Okay,
to see that event. I only have a couple
yeah,
days I can make it down there, so it's fine.
I
I'm glad
see.
we're able to talk today. So, all
Yeah, yeah.
right. Well, I think that's all my questions, and
Oh, sure.
like I said, I like the film. It's got a great energy. It's very
Thank you.
relatable. It is microcosmic, but I think
Yeah.
it's a lot of people can relate to that. And congratulations on getting into the 25th anniversary of Tribeca.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean it's nuts. Yeah, it's crazy.